Hi, I'm Tim. I am the Tinkering Turtle. Today we're going to do a first ride and review for the KBO Stepthru Breeze. It is a commuter bike with a 500 watt motor and a good sized battery. We're going to take it out, do some riding, put on 30-40 miles, and then I'll go over the features of the bike and we'll talk about where I think this fits in the e-bike world. Oh, by the way, if you want to support me, please subscribe. That's the best way. The subscriptions help me get more content down the road. If you want to take a more active approach to helping me, click that like button and hit the bell to make sure you get notified every time I put out a new video. If you actually want to donate a little cash, there's a thank you button below each video that you can throw me a couple bucks. All the money I get from that thank you button goes right back into the channel via parts to review and stuff like that, etc. Stay tuned to find out if this bike has any surprises for us. Let's get to it. So my wife and I put on about 35-40 miles onto the bike and I've got her thoughts. You know, I'm fairly impressed. The bike does a good job as far as acceleration. You always have to pedal a little bit going over hills, but it's not any extra, I think, with a 500 watt motor than say a 750. So let's get into the features of what this bike does and doesn't have. Okay, so the bike comes with a 500 watt motor, an 18 amp controller, which is smaller than the controllers on a lot of my other bikes, but it has only a 500 watt motor, so that would make sense that they would balance that out. It has a 48 volt 16 amp hour battery, which gives you a range between 30 and 55 plus. So 30 would be if you're throttle only, and 55 plus depending on how much you pedal. And I can see some flexibility in that top number, because this is only a 62 pound bike. So when you do pedal, you do get a lot of effort going into the momentum of the bike itself, which is really cool. I like that about these smaller motor bikes that weigh less. The last bike I reviewed was 49 pounds, this one's 62. So you can go quite a ways on the 16 amp hour battery. The Breeze comes with a standard 180 millimeter mechanical brakes. I want to say these brakes are passable. They do the job. They get it stopped okay. They are a little bit finicky to get adjusted, which I found a little bit of a struggle. I think that's one place that that's probably going to be one of my first upgrades, is to put on some mechanically actuated hydraulic brakes just to get a little better braking system on it. But that's a minor issue. Like I said, the brakes work fine. They're just a little finicky to adjust. Once adjusted, they seem to work okay, so it's not really a big problem. Comes standard with fenders and a rear rack, front and back. Does not come standard with the front rack, nor does it look like there's any way to attach one. You'd have to attach it to the handlebars if you wanted one. Just a standard post, a fairly comfortable seat, but it is not, there's no shock absorption, so you do feel a lot of the bumps. I think that's another upgrade I'd like to do to this bike, is put on a shock absorbing seat to get some of that shock factor out of the ride. I want to also mention it comes with a 3 amp charger for the 16 amp hour battery, so that allows you to charge the bike from completely dead to fully charged in around 5 hours, which is pretty good. It is fitted with a speed cadence sensor, not a torque sensor, so that's pretty normal at this price range, which this bike retails for $1,500. You can get $75 off for a single bike right now with the coupon code at the time of the taping, and $200 off if you buy 2 bikes. So you can get $100 off each one, which is a fairly good price for a nice commuter bike. It comes standard with a headlight and an integrated taillight, and that means when you pull the brakes, the taillight does light up. When you turn on the headlight, the taillight comes on so people can see you coming up behind you in the dark. It has an adjustable kickstand, comes with a 7-speed Shimano Altus derailleur, 7-speed shifter, comes with a twist throttle on the right hand side, leather ergonomic grips, and a small LCD display. It also has the basic front suspension that you would expect on a bike from this price point. You've got several settings to lock out and a preload on the left hand side. You can charge the bike through a charging port here, or if you remove the battery, there's a charging port in the end of the battery. So the bike can be charged either on or off the bike. It has 27.5 inch, 2.4 inch wide road tires, which I found really nice because there's not a lot of wheel resistance as you ride. So when you put effort into the pedals on this bike, it does tend to go, and you can feel the effort being translated into motion, which I think is one of the key things about having a bike like this, and why at this price point this is a good option for commuters. Because if you're even reasonably in shape, you get on this bike, you're going to be able to go 50-60 miles, I think, fairly simply by turning down the pedal assist and just putting your human effort into it. You're going to get that extra to get going, and then once you're moving, the bike weighs a low enough amount that you'll be able to continue it on with just your human power, which will give you more and more range. And you'll be able to reach your destination without being covered in sweat, because you're not putting in the huge effort up front to get the bike moving. So what size riders can this bike accommodate? Well, it has an 18-inch step through, so mounting and dismounting the bike is actually quite simple. It will hold up to 300 pounds of payload, which is maybe a small bag and a bigger guy like me. It'll range in height from 5'2" to 6'3". I'm 6'3", I'm about 275 pounds right now. So if I put a small 5-pound pack on here, this bike has no problem handling me. Let's talk about how I feel about the bike itself. Riding it, it had plenty of power. It would get you right up to the 22 miles an hour that this thing had set. The one thing I would say is the throttle. If you just go throttle alone, it's pretty anemic. And what I mean by that is the acceleration curve on the throttle is very slow. It'll take you 2-3 seconds to get to full power on the throttle if you just twist it and go. I did look up the manual, and the manual has several settings for the throttle, which I think I can go in and change the settings and get more power, and change, instead of an acceleration curve that slowly accelerates, make one that gives you a lot more power up front and then steadies out. And I think that might be one of the next videos I do, is showing how to adjust those throttle settings in case you want more power. Now, why would I want more power in the throttle if I'm going to be pedaling a commuter bike? Well, it's simple. On standard bikes, I tend to put the pedal at the top of its stroke and push down to get the bike going. On e-bikes, I don't do that. I put the pedal at the bottom of its stroke, stand up on the bike, use the throttle to get moving, and then I start pedaling. So I want a little bit more power on the throttle in the beginning, because that's when I use it. I don't use it when I'm riding, because once I start pedaling, the pedal assist kicks in, and the pedal assist gives you a lot of power up front, so there's really not a big problem there. but I would like a little bit more out of the throttle. I think I can get it by changing the settings in the display. Again, I looked up the manual. There's a PDF file on one of the Facebook groups that I downloaded, and it shows 3 different settings for the throttle. So I think I'll go in there and play with that and maybe do a follow-up video when I get an opportunity to show you how to make those adjustments in case you like that too. I like that it comes standard with the bell, because when I'm going down the bike paths, there's a lot of people walking, I can click the bell, they turn and see me and they'll step out of the way. It's just part of being kind when you're on the paths and trying to get past people and share the space so we both don't have issues down the road. Overall, I like the bike. I think for what it is, a 500 watt cruiser that can go 50 or 60 miles, I think it's an excellent choice. If you're going to ride it to work every day, it's easy to mount and dismount, it's easy to get there. You just simply bring a key with you, you can remove the battery, take it inside, charge it up while you're at work, put it back in, and head back home after work. You're not going to get super sweaty because it does a lot of the work for you. I think a commuter bike was a good way to label this bike. When it comes to steep hills, it does fine. Again, it doesn't do as good as, say, a 750 watt bike with a 52 volt motor, because that has a lot more power. You can almost ride up the hill at that point. But just like any other bike, you gear down a little bit, you kick your pedal assist up, and you pedal up the hill. I didn't have any hills that I felt like this couldn't conquer with just a little help from me. Now, I ride a lot. I ride 15 or 20 miles a day, and I do have deceptively strong legs for my size, so I can go up those hills fairly simply. And this bike did not let me down. It gave me just that little extra help to get up over those steep hills, and I had no issue with them. So that is a good thing. And like I said, the bike, it's a nice bike. I like the fact that it's easy to mount and dismount. You simply step through and just put your foot on the pedal, step up on the seat, and you go. Again, would like a little bit more throttle up front, but again, I think I can adjust that. So I'm not going to call that a negative. All in all, it's a nice bike for the price point. I would definitely look for the coupon codes for it. If you are interested in this bike, I have a link in the description of the video to take you to the website. You can check out whatever the current codes are. So go ahead and click that link. It'll take you right to KBO's website and see what kind of discounts they offer. Maybe you can pick it up for a reasonable price. I think it's a good bike and it's definitely worth considering. I really don't know what else to say about it. Like I said, something to put on your list of considerations when you're looking for an e-bike. If you've made it to this part of the video and you've enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, hit a like, send me a comment if you have any questions. I'll try to answer anything I can on the bike, and I will catch you next time.